Hi there. The truth of this world is the bird of destruction, which arises from the egg of humanity. So, this is the winged bird that arises from the egg of humanity. The shell of the egg represents the pretenders, the people that talk a good talk but do the opposite of what they say. Mostly politicians, internet providers, platforms, social media. Even Discord has decided to curtail human free speech by sort of changing its community guidelines, not sort of, actually doing it and making it more difficult to express opinions, and joining the rest of the pretenders that pretend they are supporting free speech when in actual fact they don't give a damn about it. The churches, they're pretenders that pretend everything's all right. The politicians, the biggest pretenders of all, and all the spin doctors and media moguls that like to spin the yarns that keep us all feeling secure. And so the egg is pretenders contain the egg, and the albumen and the yolk represent uh, the um, the producers, the creators, the producers of built-in obsolescence to keep you, the consumers, represented by the embryo of the egg, hungry for more. And and the embryo grows and grows and grows. We consume more and more and more until we're treading on each other's toes, from which the egg cracks from side to side, and the bird arises, the winged bird of destruction. And of course, which came first, the bird of destruction or the egg of the producers, the consumers, the pretenders? Um, and I suppose really this is represented by the actual circle, which is also this world, because the egg and what it produces are sort of going round and round in a dance, as it were, in a circular dance, a circular argument. Which came first? Who fired the first shot? And we're going round and round. But of course, I suppose one might talk about Darwinian evolution, and say that it starts and from the center and spirals out and out and out. And it gets to a certain point and it will go spiraling back and back and back, imploding on itself until there is nothing left. And that is the story of this world, basically, in a nutshell. And there you see this world compared to the transcendent world of the God, the true God, and the space between this world and the transcendental world, which is probably occupied, I would say, by our consciousness, or indeed not probably, but absolutely occupied by our consciousness and the consciousness of certain people changing over time, and you are changed by your experiences, I presume. Although, of course, soul does not change. I suppose it's your awareness of soul that changes over time. That's the more accurate way of putting it. Um, so we have here just the bird of destruction, which is leaping around as we speak, as we speak and hear now, and the Russians keep on invading. It'll be really good, of course, for the arms trade. Lots of weapons are going to be tried and tested in the field, and in fact, the money that Russia is going to get from their arms trade following this conflict will probably more than compensate for the fact that they're going to face punitive sanctions for a very long time. So they're not particularly worried about it. Although I have to say that I do think that Mr. Putin, reacting to this world, is playing the part of the dancing bear, the bear that's being baited. And in fact, if he doesn't watch it, it in fact will be the end of his rule of Russia, because it's the usual thing with the West. What they do is they bait people that they don't like into reacting and acting more and more aggressively, and reacting. They actually then impose punitive sanctions, which perhaps have well which often have the effect of bringing down the person that they don't want in charge of the particular country that they want to, let us say, increase their influence over. And I don't say this in any kind of partial way or partisan way. I don't care a damn really what goes on. Because it is all of this world, the pretenders, the producers, the consumers, it's all part of creation, preservation, and destruction. The game that is played, the dance that is made, and the circle that is cast. And the triangle also is cast into which various forces, elemental forces, demonic forces, angelic forces, even are brought in to do the will of the magician, or so the magician thinks. We'll leave it at that. Um, but so as I say, I'm not partisan to what is going on. And it may be that Russia actually is okay in the end because it can sell lots of arms and weapon systems to other countries around the world. Having sort of tested them out and carried out, obviously observed, and other countries can observe the effectiveness of various Russian weapon systems and indeed weapon systems of the West. They can be observed as well and sold to various hungry customers, hungry consumers. And these hungry consumers form an embryo which creates eventually, from which springs the bird of destruction. And of course, collateral damage. War is not good for for plants and animals and children and women and men. And also not good for the evolution of soul awareness for sure. But if you're already on the path of soul awareness, I suppose that's all you can do. You can do no other sort of thing, and that's the path that you're basically on as an individual. Never mind what the bird of destruction is doing, flapping its wings and dancing around and biting the air, and producing fire and water and and an earthquake and tsunami and virus and all the other things that the bird of destruction produces, which of course tax us and vex us and create an emotional response within us that is a hindrance to soul awareness. But ultimately, I suppose soul awareness will happen anyway, whatever the bird of destruction does, and however hard it flaps its wings. It'll be what happens. It'll in the end, as I say, implosion will follow, and all that is great and wonderful and tall will fall, and all that is straight will become crooked, and all that is crooked will become straight, and various creatures of the astral planes will arise and will take their place in the evolutionary scheme of things. And who cares? Who wonders about these things really? It's not good for soul awareness to speculate on the various shenanigans of the bird of destruction from the embryo of consumerism and the albumen and the yolk of the creators, and also not to get sort of too cross with the pretenders, because they're just keeping the whole thing together, as a shell keeps an egg together, you see. So I suppose ultimately, when you see the whole picture, as I have crudely created here, um, and tried my best to mess up as well with all my doodlings, uh, you you will get the full picture, and but this is not really the picture at all. The picture is actually the transcendental realm, into which your consciousness will propel you as your soul awareness increases, and so onward bound over the top.